This guy right here on the left, this guy is Steve Schultz, and he is the owner of ElijahList.com. It's a website, it's a Facebook group, and he also has the Elijah Streams Facebook group. Well, he got COVID. I don't revel in that. I don't want anybody to get sick or hurt. It sounds like he's going to survive, though for the record, he is an extremist to the core and genuinely believes himself to be a prophet of God, very disconnected from reality. So this woman right here, Kelsey O'Malley, she's been filling in for Steve Schultz while he has COVID. I decided to go to Elijah List and Elijah Streams Facebook pages and website and stuff out of curiosity. I just wanted to see what they were all about. This is the Elijah List Facebook group, and it has, as aforementioned, 418,000 people who follow this. That is a lot of fucking people who follow this group. That is why I cover these videos by these wingnuts like Johnny Enlow, Nathan French, and Robin Bullock, and all of the others, because this is nothing to sneeze at, for real. 420,000 people following this page. He has another page called Elijah Streams. It's slightly smaller. It's got 62,000 people following it. That's roughly the size of my podcast. So that's real shit, man. We have to talk about this. Back to the original story. I wanted to talk about Johnny Enlow's prophecy about Humpty Dumpty. That is what this prophecy is about. Kelsey O'Malley, as I said, is filling in for Steve Schultz since he's sick. She did this live stream with Johnny Enlow on January 21st, 2022. Let's give this live stream a listen, just the opening sequence here, and see what she had to say. Give this a listen.
Let's welcome on Johnny. I know he's a dear friend of Steve Schultz. Welcome to the show, Johnny. Thanks for being with us today.
We're excited about Steve and Doreen getting their super immunity antibodies, which is what they're doing now, so this won't bother them anymore.
That's fucking sad, dude. The guy caught COVID instead of just getting vaccinated like he should have. Instead of getting vaccinated, he decided to do this the hard way, and now he's sick and he's out. He can't work now. He had to have Kelsey O'Malley fill in for him. That is fucking sad. And this guy on the right, Johnny Enlow, is glorifying that. He's proud of him. He's happy for him. In a little while, we're going to talk about why Johnny Enlow is happy for Steve Schultz, that he didn't get vaccinated. We will get there. Before we actually watch the interview, the crazy part, I wanted to hear what Johnny Enlow had to say to Kelsey O'Malley as the new interviewer, as the stand-in for Steve Schultz. Listen to this interaction that they have with each other.
I'll only interrupt you if it's the Holy Spirit's prompting me. So just go ahead and share with us what the Lord's been giving you.
And that is great, Kelsey. Yeah. And, and I respect that. He might give you a question to ask, a clarification or whatever. And so want to be attentive for that.
So he believes that what he's about to tell us, and Kelsey obviously believes this too, he believes that this information is directly from God himself. This is a prophecy from God. The type of shit that you would find in the Bible. Seriously, he would be writing his own Bible books, basically, is what we're about to listen to. And Kelsey O'Malley is reinforcing this bizarre belief that he seems to have about himself and his own powers. So, are you guys ready to hear the prophecy that he has to give us? Give this one a listen. This is the prophecy from God that he has to give to humanity.
Before we go on, I want to just, because this is part of prophetic declaration at all. The way I heard it is not Humpty Dumpty is going to fall down. What I actually heard was just what the nursery rhyme says. Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. So this is, as we move forward, we want to take note that this is a declaration in the spirit of something that has already happened. And all the king's horses and all the king's men cannot put Humpty Dumpty back together again.
So the dude gets a nursery rhyme stuck in his head and believes it's prophecy from God. He got a nursery rhyme stuck in his head and believes that God is speaking to him through that nursery rhyme. Well, it doesn't end here. He's not the only one who's saying this shit now. Now that he's come out with this nursery rhyme as prophecy. Other prophets have picked it up and run with it. Listen to this. This is Hank Kunneman shortly after Johnny Enlow came out with this revelation. Listen to this.
I believe not only is it a cleanup on aisle 46, but we need to restock the shelves and get some new people to run this country, because here's the thing. There used to be an old saying, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Well, I believe Humpty Dumpty Biden sat on a fraudulent wall. Humpty Dumpty Biden is going to have a great fall, and none of his kings, none of his horses, none of the rhinos, none of the donkeys are going to be able to put it together again, because there is a new America that God is forming, and it's going to take all of us, like Lance has said many times, to rise up and do our part to help take back America for God and for our freedoms.
This is so painfully embarrassing. These people are unironically, desperately trying to make a nursery rhyme into prophecy from God. This is fucking ridiculous. This stream was actually a total of like an hour and a half or something, and I watched the majority of the stream that Johnny Enlow did. The stream was something like the prophecy about Humpty Dumpty or something. So guess what? They're finding all these weird little messages and signs and symbols everywhere. Listen to this. This is Johnny Enlow explaining how he did a Google search for Humpty Dumpty and found this picture of Humpty Dumpty in the Google images, and now he's going to read into it and explain all the weird secret symbols that you can find in this picture. Listen to this.
Some of you already picked up on what that represents right there. That picture of Humpty Dumpty, that hand in the coat pocket, or not in the coat pocket, but in that area, it's not in a pocket. That is a known symbol and a communicative message that they have. Again, one of those, speaking of, they think this is cute, their inner language, their secret language that they have, is it represents Freemasonry. And it's part of the hidden thing they have. There's the hidden hand.
Or alternatively, let me just throw this at you. Is there a possibility that people just sat like that from time to time? Like walking with your hands in your pockets? Do you think there's a possibility maybe people just kept their hand there? Does everything have to be a fucking symbol or a sign or some secret message? When do you draw the line and realize that the things that you're saying are complete fucking nonsense, honestly? It seems like the answer to that is never for this guy. It seems like it to me. Next clip I wanted to watch from this Humpty Dumpty live stream, it's a little bit of a longer clip. I think it's like a 3-minute long clip, but we can watch a conspiracy theory unfold in front of us. This guy is going to lay out this whole bizarre idea that he has and how he got from A to B. So let's listen to him unfold this whole conspiracy. Check it out.
So the Lord's saying, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall.
So this is the secret message, the prophecy that God is giving to Johnny Enlow. And now we're going to watch Johnny Enlow try to unpack it and understand it. i.e., the dude got a nursery rhyme stuck in his head over the weekend, and he spent the next 3 days trying to figure out what it meant. When in reality, what it meant was he had a nursery rhyme stuck in his fucking head. There's nothing more to it, honestly. But listen to him try to make sense of a pattern that just isn't there.
So the Lord's saying, Humpty Dumpty sat on a wall. Humpty Dumpty had a great fall. And then you find out Humpty Dumpty Institute is something that had Mark Epstein, Jeffrey Epstein's brother, listed as director as recently as 2018. So it's heavily associated with the Communist Party of China, the CCP. It has high-level State Department from the United States connection, the global elite.
Wait, Humpty Dumpty Institute? What the fuck is a Humpty Dumpty Institute? I'd never heard of this shit before, so I looked it up, and honestly, it's nothing. There really isn't anything to it. I found one cheaply thrown together website called the HDI, the Humpty Dumpty Institute, and I don't even know if this is the real website for it or if it was like fabricated by QAnon conspiracy theorists to try to make it look like a real organization. I honestly cannot tell. Basically, nothing that he's saying in this is verifiable in any way. He's presenting us with information like Epstein's brother was on the board of directors, and there are a bunch of Democratic politicians that are on the board and all this other stuff. None of this is verifiable. For all we know, he's just pulling it right out of his ass. We can't verify what he's saying, and a lot of the information that he's giving us, he's protecting that information by saying, I got this information from God. I got this from secret sources. I can't reveal who it came from and stuff like that. Like, not all of it. I'm sure there's some grain of truth to some of this, because there usually is some grain of truth in there somewhere. But as usual, conspiracy theorists like to build up that grain of truth and turn it into this gigantic thing and find patterns where they just don't exist. Anyway, point is, the dude is completely full of it, but let's keep listening and watching him extrapolate conspiracies where there really isn't anything there.
Here are former or present board members: Adam Schiff, Democrat; Maxine Waters, those two are especially better known; Sheila Jackson Lee, among 28 Democratic representatives. A notable senior fellow on this Taihei Institute, which is connected with Humpty Dumpty Institute, is a man named Thorsten Jelinek.
Okay, so Thorsten Jelinek, I don't even know that name, but now we're like two degrees of separation off. Thorsten Jelinek doesn't work for this Humpty Dumpty Institute, whatever this organization is even supposed to be. For all I know, this is genuinely just made up by Q people. So Thorsten Jelinek isn't even part of the organization, if you notice. He's, what was it he said he was?
Notable senior fellow on this Taihei Institute, which is connected with Humpty Dumpty Institute.
Okay, so he's a senior fellow to a different organization that is somehow connected to this Humpty Dumpty Institute. Doesn't explain how it's connected or any of that, but okay, you know what? For the sake of argument, let's go with it. What did Thorsten Jelinek do that upset you so much?
A man named Thorsten Jelinek, and he is an associate director of the WEF, which stands for the World Economic Forum, headed by Klaus Schwab. This Thorsten Jelinek, he's a huge proponent of AI, chips, transhumanism. He says everybody's waiting for humanity to change. The only way that's going to happen is through this incorporating of AI, chips, transhumanism. And so they have this ideal utopian perspective that they're sharing. And whether he actually feels that way, some of them know that this is out and out Luciferian evil, and some of them think, well, yeah, people aren't going to make the change unless we force them to.
Okay, do you guys understand what he's saying now? So we've got some guy that's separated from the Humpty Dumpty Institute, whatever the holy fuck that is, by like 3 degrees of separation at this point. And this guy is in favor of transhumanism, which means he wants to be able to live forever, basically. He wants to put our brains in robot bodies or something. I don't know. That's kind of the impression that I'm getting from Johnny Enlow. I would love that. I would love the ability to live forever in a robot body or something. That'd be fantastic, right? It's not fantastic to Johnny Enlow. He believes that this is a Luciferian plot to foil God's plans for us or some other nonsense. And it moved from the ability to live forever to they're going to force microchips on us. And how do you think he believes they're going to force microchips on us? Just take a wild guess. I'd be willing to bet you get it right.
You force them to through implementation of chips and transhumanism, and this whole thing of getting people used to getting boosters and being controlled through that means.
There you go. Boosters. That answers it for you if you were wondering. That's how they're going to get the microchips in us. That is so completely unhinged from reality. I don't even know what to do with it. This guy is endlessly entertaining, seriously. It's so incredibly interesting to watch him form out a conspiracy theory in real time, though. Seriously, we went with him from the start, a nursery rhyme in his head, and followed him through to the logical in his mind, end. He moved from a nursery rhyme to finding some institute called the Humpty Dumpty Institute, if it even exists, I don't know, to somebody that's connected to an organization, that's connected to an organization, that's connected to an organization on their board has this idea about transhumanism where they want to use microchips to help us live forever. And that's a Luciferian plot to get us, to microchip us. That is fucking unhinged from reality. There really is no better way to phrase it. But it gets even weirder. Keep listening.
And being controlled through that means is all part of it. So just to show you, this is where, Jeff, that first picture, this was on the tweet that this Thorsten Jelink from the Taihe Institute that's worked side by side with the Humpty Dumpty Institute. And this is what he's saying is the hope for humanity moving forward, where they have, as you can see, fully chipped, fully controlled, but this is so they can, fulfill their agenda. And the part that, of course, is conveniently not stated in all these utopianly worded releases that they have.
Johnny Enlow is implying something completely different than I'm sure anybody in the world really has in mind. Johnny Enlow has this idea that they're trying to microchip us so that they can control us and turn us into slaves for Satan or something like that. Nobody really gives a shit about that, and I'll tell you why. I can guarantee you nobody is interested in turning you into an apostate of Satan by force because Satan isn't real. Simple as that. Satan isn't real, and neither is God. Nobody has a vested interest in doing that to you, Johnny. There's no money being donated in mass quantities to make this goal a reality, because nothing about this is a reality. It's nonsense from beginning to end. Satan isn't real. He lives in this fantasy land where he thinks Satan's out to get him 24/7. He's always trying to trick him and everybody in his life. It's paranoia land, and it's fucking sad. You know, the reason I came into this clip originally, into this Humpty Dumpty video, was because I found this clip of him talking about how Donald Trump was currently actively president of Earth. I heard him make that claim, and I was like, I've heard him make that claim like 16 times by now. I wanted to know what was said leading up to that. Let's keep listening to this clip because he's about to get to that part about Donald Trump.
Worded releases that they have is how this is tied into a depopulation scenario. It's safe to say, if this is what we're just now being exposed to, not only is there so much more, but they've been working on it for a long, long time, and they have massive amount of resource behind it.
Johnny, nobody is trying to turn you into an apostate to Satan. It is not happening. Satan isn't real. I'm begging you. Come back to reality with the rest of us, please. Everything that you've heard up to now was the lead up to him explaining where Trump fits into this plan. Keep listening.
And they have massive amount of resource behind it. From heaven's standpoint, Trump is the number one government official on planet Earth. He is the president, not just of the United States. He is God's president for Earth at this time. But his assignment, people like, when is he going to be there? In this, the seat where Biden is way less important than people know. At some point, yes, he's going to, that seat will be back officially where it's supposed to. I don't know the timing of it. I had no idea of the full picture, the full range of everything that needed to be corrected and brought into alignment with the kingdom of God. When I was getting the original prophetic words on it, my initial stuff was the world will be known as before and after Trump when he comes in. And I was even looking at my prophetic word from 4 years ago. It's going to be an 8-year operation for that to happen.
That is so incredibly sad, dude. That is so incredibly heartbreaking. This guy cannot accept that Donald Trump was really a nobody. He was genuinely just some nobody who manipulated the evangelical voter base into voting for him. And after he lost in 2020, he continued to manipulate these people into basically becoming cult members for the cult of Donald Trump. No joke. Donald Trump is effectively their new messiah at this point. Later, I'm going to talk about this guy, Shane Vaughn, who loves Trump to a disturbing degree. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that later. The dude spent $2,500 on Donald Trump coins that are worthless anywhere except the Republic of Cameroon, I think. They don't have any monetary value outside of that, I believe. This guy and others are so deeply obsessed with Trump. They have fully integrated the guy into their belief system, into their theology. When they make prophecy now, this Humpty Dumpty prophecy, somehow it always routes back to Donald Trump. That's heartbreakingly sad, honestly. But did you notice what he said there a minute ago? Let's listen to the last couple seconds of this, because there's more to this story.
I had no idea of the full picture, the full range of everything that needed to be corrected and then brought into alignment with the kingdom of God. When I was getting the original prophetic words on it, my initial stuff is the world will be known as before and after Trump.
Isn't that interesting? Do you guys recognize what he just said there? He said he didn't know the full scope, basically, of what God was trying to reveal when he made his original prophecy. Well, I just so happen to have his original prophecy here. I've played it a few times on my channel. Let's give it a listen. This is the original prophecy that he gave. This was December 2019, I believe. So 2 years ago. Yeah, about 2 years ago now. Check it out.
And then on March, right when I'm saying that I have this, it's not an open vision, but it was a vision. And in the vision, I see this circular mountain that goes up, and there's a path all the way up. And at the top is Donald Trump, and he's on a motorcycle. And he's on a motorcycle, and he's making a lot of noise with it.
All this imagery is tough guy imagery. You know, Donald Trump is this alpha male. Motorcycles have this alpha male quality to them for some reason, and revving the engine and all that stuff. It's all alpha male stuff. And look at his wife smiling like this, so happy, so contented by the idea of Donald Trump being an alpha male.
And he has red, white, and blue bandana on it.
She's laughing.
On his head. And so I was like, Lord, as I'm saying that, the first thing he said is, he is going to save you from things you don't know you need to be saved from yet. And then the Lord progressively began to speak regarding that. And he said, this time in the presidency is going to be a hinge of the ages and be known as before Trump and after Trump because of the way I'm going to use him. I'm using him as a Trump card, but I'm the Trump card player.
So remember, this is Johnny Enlow's original prophecy about Donald Trump that he's conveying to us here. He believes Donald Trump was going to be so influential to society, to the world, to his theology, that they were going to stop using before Christ and after death and start using before Trump and after Trump. He believes Donald Trump is effectively going to replace Jesus, right? We're going from a system based on Jesus to a system based on Donald Trump. That's what this guy is conveying in his original prophecy.
And so your nation will be known as before Trump and after Trump. And he said the nations will be known as before Trump, after Trump. And the Lord, it was like, he said, I'm really not interested in your all's vote this time. I'm doing it. I usually give you all that option. This time I'm not. This is a rescue operation from heaven.
So I don't even need you to vote. It doesn't matter if you go out and vote or not. I, God, am going to install Trump as president of Earth. That's pretty much what Johnny Enlow is describing here.
This is a moment of the ages. This will go down. This time period will go down as a before and after AD, but BC AD, depending on what terminology you use now.
That's the original prophecy that Johnny Enlow was referring to in his previous video. Let's listen to that clip one more time near the end, where he was talking about that.
Is way less important than people know. At some point, yes, he's going to, that seat will be back officially where it's supposed to. I don't know the timing of it, I had no idea of the full picture, the full range of everything that needed to be corrected and then brought into alignment with the kingdom of God. When I was getting the original prophetic words on it, my initial stuff was the world will be known as before and after Trump when he comes in. And I was even looking at my prophetic word from 4 years ago. It's going to be an 8-year operation for that to happen.
That is so disconnected from reality. I honestly don't know how to fix this guy, really. I don't know how to fix this guy's head. How, as a psychologist, how would somebody go about helping him? How would somebody go about bringing him back to reality with the rest of us? I genuinely don't know. There is something really wrong with this guy's worldview, that he believes that he receives divine information from heaven, and he believes that Donald Trump is replacing Jesus. There's really no other way to interpret what he had to say there, but to say that he believes Trump is going to replace Jesus. I feel so deeply sad for this guy and for this guy's wife, but she doesn't seem to feel unhappy about the situation at all. She was laughing. Look at this smile on her face. She's laughing as this guy describes Trump's alpha male qualities, if you will. I honestly can't say if these two people will ever come back to reality or not. I hope they do one day. Taylor Morgan, God must have been bored that day. Also, doesn't the Bible teach people to watch out for false prophets and people who use gospel for profit? Absolutely does, as a matter of fact. Apt observation. They don't give a shit. They pretend that verse isn't even in the fucking Bible. That's what blows my mind about this situation, seriously. These people are full-blown false prophets. The Bible describes them to a T. And somehow these evangelicals, it just goes right over their heads. They don't even realize. And when it's pointed out to them that these people, as some other evangelicals put it, lied on God, when that's pointed out to them, they pretend that you're like the enemy here for pointing this shit out to them. Lulu Girl, I think it's complete grift because the lie that God speaks to him. I don't think he's grifting. Honestly, I don't. I don't think he's grifting. I basically sit here day in and day out watching sermon after sermon after sermon, and I feel like I could pick up on it if somebody was faking. I think this guy's a true believer. That's just my impression, my opinion on it. I don't really have much to back it up. That's just my take. I think he really deeply believes the shit that he's saying to the bottom of his heart. It's fucking weird. Drake Eldritch, welcome. Little Bo Peep has lost her sheep. I prophesy that this means these nutter butters will lose more followers the more bullshit they make up. Yeah, that's a possibility, but the followers that they retain will become the most devout, deep believers alive, and they will do literally anything for the people that they follow. And that's one of the more concerning parts about this whole thing. You're right that the more extreme they get, the more people will fall away, but the people who stay will be the most extreme alive. That's how extremist movements work. When there's a high social cost, or even a high monetary cost, when there's a high cost to being a part of the group, the people who remain will invest everything